Let's bring up the CJ, GJ, or CD Deuce and Baker Mayfield stuff because like I said to John, CJ is so authentic, and I appreciate him for that. And I do think every team needs a guy with a little bit of attitude, some moxie, shall I say.
Plays the right way.
Some moxie. Yeah, here we go again. Plays the right way. Lunch pail kind of guy. But CJ, I love his attitude because CJ can back it up. Like, he can, if this was, Kendall Vildor talking, I'd be like, all right, Kendall, just please stop. You know what I mean? You're going to give up 150 to Chris Godwin. But CJ, I appreciate it. But Baker had something to say back to him. We'll get to the comments. Do you have CJ's comments first, and then we'll play the Baker stuff, just what he said about Tampa Bay? And I don't know the source on this directly. I don't know if it'll say it on the graphic, but here's what CJ said first. Okay, there you go. He said, quote, if you give that Tampa group a good quarterback, that's a great group. that's a shot right there. And then they asked Baker about it, and he says, I don't think he's really watched film because he mentioned Russell Gage, and he hasn't played a snap all year for us. Damn, Russell Gage caught a stray. Got to do a little bit more film study. And that was his response to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And here's the clip of what Baker said to back to C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Baker, not sure if you saw or not, but the trash talk has already started. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said this would be a good Bucs group if they had a starting quarterback. What are you going to say about that?
Yeah, and Baker, essentially that was his response. Like, hey, yeah, tell him to watch more film. And I get it. And I actually like Baker. I do because, again, a number one overall pick. It's similar to Jared, not in terms of, like, accomplishments, but just a number one overall pick that found a new destination. He's playing really well this year. But to say that CJ needs to watch more film, and CJ responded kind of in a boss-ass way on Twitter. Because he said, I do, there it is. I do watch film. Ask the QB before you, my guy. Because CJ played, obviously, with the Saints in New Orleans and faced Tom Brady. And they had the Bucs number. And CJ was a big part of what they were doing there with that Saints defense. So to ask CJ to watch more film, it's like asking you to wear more flannels. Like, it's like I don't have to.
Okay. Can we slow down a little bit? Can we slow down a little bit on that? Here's the thing. What you guys left out is that C.J. Gardner-Johnson actually did mention Russell Gage. And for the record, if he mentioned Russell Gage and you respond with watch more film, that's actually an okay response because Russell Gage hasn't played a snap all season. And I know C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to get a 100,000% pass for that, and that's fine because most Lions fans, with all due respect, are kind of NPCs when it comes to CJ Gardner-Johnson, but that's all right. I don't want to hate too much. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like this whole CJ Gardner-Johnson thing. I don't like the trash talk. I don't get it because he hasn't done anything this year. He hasn't done. How many games did he miss, Jeff? I saw your face. How many games did he miss? He missed like the.
Oh, he missed the majority, then came back and got an interception.
He got a pick. Fine, a pick. Ooh,
first game back.
What did he play in how many games? 3 games?
Yeah.
In one P as a pick when he came back.
Fine. I'm just saying that
that's just this year. I'm not talking about the rest of his career in general.
All of the players that we can mention on this team that have showed out and have played great, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is the one that is getting all of the attention. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is the one that is talking all of the trash. And because Baker Mayfield responds, and this is where I'm actually defending Baker Mayfield a little bit, and says, Russell Gage hasn't played at all this season, maybe he should watch film, that's actually an okay response. I'm sorry. A lot of people aren't going to like that.
Well, and this is where I'm at. Me and Jake are in lockstep. And I was going to mention this, but Jake, you went there. I'm going to bring your comment up. Not if he's just mentioning Gage as a good player on the roster and not him actually impacting the game. Did he just mention, because Russell Gage is a pretty good wide receiver. So was he just mentioning like, oh, they got all these weapons. They got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage. Or did he say Russell Gage and how Russell Gage has played this year? You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter. Russell Gage has not played an entire snap this whole season. So that's irrelevant. That's all I'm saying.
So you don't like the way you don't like C.J. Gardner-Johnson talking?
He's not my favorite figure on the Detroit Lions. I'll be honest. He's not.
Why?
Because he hasn't done anything this year. But like he's considered like the mouthpiece of this team. And oh, by the way, this is another thing, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I don't give a damn. I was watching another show the other night, and I hope you are listening, Broder and Booner, called Woodward Nights.
Shout out.
And they were
shout out.
Great show, by the way. And this is one of the
Indeed.
reasons the whole CJ Gardner-Johnson thing annoys me a little bit from time to time. They were talking about how if he had come on, which he obviously did, if he had a great finish to the season. Brian Branch was playing well. Kirby Joseph got a couple of picks, and they basically were implying that. Is it a coincidence that it's because CJ Gardner-Johnson was back in the building, like he motivated them to make all of those plays? I don't know. He hasn't done anything this year, and that's okay. It's not his fault he got hurt. I'm not saying it's his fault for getting hurt.
So you answered your own question. You answered your own
statement. It's just that people are acting like he's one of the most important figures on this team when he's just not. He's just a blowhard at this point. He's a blowhard, and that's fine.
He's also a damn good player.
He's a good player when he's healthy and he's back, and I hope that he makes some plays. But it's just when it comes to CJ Gardner-Johnson, when it came to the ski mask thing, when it came to the entire city of Detroit coming at Easy for some relatively benign comments, Lions fans are NPCs when it comes to CJ Gardner-Johnson, and it's fine. I guess I'm the only one, and I hope he plays well. I hope he makes some plays. He was very big on that one coverage play against Cooper Kupp on that pass to the end zone. I will give him that.
Just casually mention that.
I will give him that, but he was not one of the most important players on this team this last weekend. He is not one of the most important players on this team. We're not even talking about Amon-Ra. We're not talking about.
What about the defense?
Hey, Aiden Hutchinson was more important.
What about the secondary?
Aleem McNeil was more important. Brian Branch was the best player in that secondary. Did you see how he locked down Cooper Kupp and DeMarcus Robinson from time to time? CJ Gardner-Johnson was all right, but people are talking about him like he's just this leader or something, like he's going to be this big contributor on this team. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, maybe, but maybe you should do something before you talk smack and talk about Russell Gage. He was out for the season since August. Come on now.
Yeah, but again, you just answered that. You answered that statement already. You said he was injured, so that's okay.
Right, that's
so
not
you can't
fair.
keep bringing up he didn't do anything all season. That's misleading. Because he was injured. So, and by the way, when he came back, he had an interception
If
first
we
game
all
back.
acknowledge that he was injured and he was not a big part of the team this year, I will break bread. But you guys are acting like somehow it was his leadership or something.
No, it's not about. It's because I know he's a damn good player. So when he talks like this, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I know CJ's going to back it up.
He is a leader, though. He is a vocal leader for this team.
That's what he does.
Why are Detroit sports fans so afraid to embrace like verbal leaders or like people that are different or out there, Because I kept hearing on sports radio this morning a lot of hosts like, oh, Detroiters don't want to see that, or that's not what the Lions are about. Why are we so afraid to embrace players like this? It's not like Jeff said, he's not like Kendall Vildor getting torched every play and then he's talking. He has a resume, and he was brought in to be a vocal leader for this defense and also perform on the field. It's just unfortunate he got hurt. I just don't understand. Like,
and to KG's point, like you can't, you'd be like, yeah, he made a good play on Cooper Kupp. No, Sam, that won the game. That was a TD.
Oh, that won the game. That was the only thing that won the game. That was important, but it didn't win the goddamn game. Come on.
Hold on, let me do the math.
Come on.
Let me do the math. They won.
CJ Gardner-Johnson was like the 10th to 15th.
Hold on, no.
Come
listen,
on.
I'm not a huge fan of math, but let's do the math. Let's do the math.
Bro.
They won by 1. If that's a TD, what happens? So 1, that would have been 6. Yeah, they would have won the game.
Okay, fine. But
would you agree that Michael Badgley won the game with that field goal?
Michael Badgley played a part in winning the game. Hey,
So he played a part?
Hold on.
But CJ's pass breakup did.
You didn't say played a part. You said won the game. Did you hear yourself?
It did win the game.
Them scoring 3 consecutive touchdowns on the first 3 drives won the game. Aiden Hutchinson having all those pressures and sacks won the game as well.
It actually won the
Brian Branch having a pass deflection, all those pressures.
Was it for a TD?
It played a part. It played a part in winning the game. It was a nice play.
But CJ's play directly impacted 6. That's my point.
Okay, fine. And all the touchdowns that they scored, and the field goal, and the Badgley field goal, and all that also made an impact. CJ Gardner-Johnson was not one of the most impactful players on that game this weekend. You guys are NPCs when it comes to CJ Gardner-Johnson.
How are people NPCs?
NPCs.
Sam, so I would say, Michael Badgley, that 50-plus yard field goal was the difference. Could I also say, well, preventing a touchdown in a 1-point game was the difference? Is that far off?
That was a difference. You said won the game.
I mean,
CJ Gardner-Johnson is...
You could argue the same thing. Sam Laporte, the 4th down TD, won the game.
Huge, yes.
But, so getting 7 and preventing 7s, they're both...
You said won the game. I said played a part. Like, I know it's semantics and all that. You said won the game. It didn't win the game. It played a part.
Well,
it was
if they
a big
scored,
play.
they would have lost. So, yeah, it did.
Okay, fine. Maybe they would have got the ball. I don't know. You never know. It was a big play. I never said that it wasn't a big play. I said it this whole goddamn week for all these people who think I hate CJ Gardner-Johnson. It's just... My problem is that he is one of the most beloved players in this city, and I don't know why. He is more beloved than Aiden Hutchinson and Jared Goff, and that's a fucking fact. I don't get it. He's done nothing this year. I get it. He's done a few things at parts during the year, but
you keep saying he's done nothing.
Level,
Sam, he was hurt.
Okay, fine.
Well, then what do we do? Yeah, I mean, the same thing with this reminds me of the Jameson discussion his rookie year. Like, he did nothing, but he missed, I don't know, 12 games.
Speaking of NPCs.
No, Sam, that trust me, CJ Gardner-Johnson, if there's a player that's going to talk trash, number one, that's who he is. He's always been like that. Yeah. And that's a guy that I believe, I don't have a problem with it because, A, he could back it up. So,
has he backed it up this year, though?
Yeah, he has.
I get it. He was hurt, but when you're hurt,
when he was on the field, he was impactful. Yes,
he was impactful-ish. He wasn't as impactful as Brian Branch. He wasn't as impactful as Iffy Melifonwu when he played. Not even close.
Brian Branch is a great player. He is, but let's not act like a CJ just some I don't know, bum.
He's not a bum,
or just some average starter.
I've never said he was a bum.
Okay, then what are we arguing? He's one of the more impactful players on defense.
You can't subtract what he's done in the locker room too, man. He is a locker room leader. I'm sorry, Sam.
It's okay.
It's funny. Everybody has a complaint about CJ Gardner-Johnson, but the locker room. Have you noticed that? Nobody in the locker room has said anything negative about the antics of CJ Gardner-Johnson. Why is that? On my Brian Windhorst. Why is that?
Why is that?
For the record, KG, I feel like I'm one against the. I know a couple people in the chat actually agreed with me on some points, but I think it's kind of like me on an island by myself. I understand that if you're in the locker room, they may like CJ Gardner-Johnson and all of that. I'm just saying that when it comes to the Lions, he is not one of the most important players on this team. Not even close.
On defense, yes.
No, he's not.
Are you're shitting
Aiden,
me.
Aleem, Brian Branch, Alex Anzalone.
Well, if he was healthy all year, yeah, I think you'd see statistically, because you're a big stat guy.
But
he needs to play the whole, exactly. But if he played the whole year, he'd have the stats for you to sit there and be like, well, he had this many interceptions and this many pass breakups. He would be one of the more important players. But because he was hurt all year, you could say, well, Anzalone, who's a better player, Anzalone or CJ? I'll wait.
Anzalone right now, 100%. Guys, him being absent.
Look at the resume.
CJ Gardner-Johnson being absent, which was not his fault. I never said that it was. Left the door open for guys like Iffy and Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph to play more and actually, I would say, be a very solid and at times very, very good safety trio. And CJ Gardner-Johnson, he is what he said he didn't want to be. He's just part of a rotation. He's all right. He's fine.
He's not all right. He's a great player.
He's a good player. He's not a great player. Not a great player. Come on now. Come on. I will die on that hill.
Okay.
100% die on that hill.
I'm just saying that preventing a TD is pretty big, and he did that. So
it was the only reason they won the game, according to Jeff Ifredi.
What did I say? I said that play, Sam Laporta on fourth down, Michael Badgley. There's a lot of plays that technically won the game because those were the difference. It was a 1-point game, Sam. It's not like they won by 14, 17 points. Then you'd be right.
Jeff Ifredi probably thinks CJ Gardner-Johnson was more impactful than Aiden. I can't wait for that to come. I can't wait for people in the chat to say that.
Speaking of a guy that you're NPC for, Aiden Hutchinson.
You mean the best defensive player on the team by a
the last
country
3
mile?
weeks, it's great. Yeah, for sure.
So
even when he plays bad, you're over here going, well,
he never played bad, and
he's never had a bad game.
Oh, and by the way,
Sam Flannel, noted.
He played every game this season. He is the most impactful defensive player on this team.
And you are not wrong, but let's not act like he plays bad. You go silent, but with CJ now, it's a huge problem. You're talking about guys defending CJ, but you do the same thing with who?
Aiden Hutchinson is the best defensive player on this team. He's going to be a fucking all-pro next year. He's been the best defensive player in this playoff. CJ Gardner-Johnson hasn't done anything this year. He's done, I mean, when I say anything, I say in comparison to Aiden Hutchinson on a macro level. I know people are really not going to like me.
You're acting like the drop-off is Aiden to Kindle Vildor. It's a guy who led the league in interceptions in Aiden Hutchinson, who's a damn good player, and he's only getting better.
Yeah, CJ Gardner-Johnson.
You just got to put some respect on CJ's name. He's better than what you're making it out to be.
He's a good player who has been absent for most of the year because of injury, and that's fine.
Okay.
As long as we can all admit that, that's fine. People act like he was actually super important. I just can't. I don't know why he's talking. Why is he mentioning Russell Gage? Maybe CJ doesn't watch film. If he mentions Russell Gage on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
I can promise you don't.
Okay, fine.
You can't play at that high of a level if you don't watch film. Right.
And not every player is a quiet player. There's just it is what it is. There's rah-rah guys in football. It just is what it is.
Well, and everybody who knows me very well knows that when it comes to leadership and rah-rah stuff, I put less value on that than anybody in this building by a mile. I know people like Broder and Booner and Stick put a really big emphasis on that, and that's fine. And I get it. D-Mag, he's played in the NHL and all that. I 100% understand it. It's just when it comes to how do you want it, CJ Gardner-Johnson is just not really my kind of guy. And if he was playing well, if he'd been playing the whole year, I would probably put a little bit more stock in it and just say fine, but he hasn't earned it.
You're acting, Sam, he's played in the last 2 games. One, he had an interception the first game. Great. And you loved it. It's a stat, interception, so you got to appreciate it. And then the next game, he had a pass breakup for a TD. Huge play. So two games he's been back, 2 huge plays. So what are you acting like? This guy's just like, oh, yeah, he's just...
It's not like he's playing
he's getting
bad.
cooked. Like he's definitely making a significant impact both games.
Has he gotten cooked a couple of times? Yeah, of course. But so is that a lot of people.
Has Aiden not won a one-on-one with one offensive lineman? But he's not double teamed? Yeah, I'm sure. But again,
don't you dare compare Aiden to
I'm
CJ
not comparing,
Gardner-Johnson.
but you're bringing up one blemish. Why don't we talk about blemishes for other players? We could do that all day.
He had more than
CJ
one
gets cooked once. Well, Aiden can't win a one-on-one one time. Okay, we can bring that up. Even though he's been great. You get what I'm saying? Stop picking and choosing.
I'm not picking and choosing. CJ Gardner-Johnson wasn't even close to as impactful as Aiden Hutchinson in this last game of the whole season.
You're switching the argument.
You are saying that.
You're bringing up blemishes. CJ, I'm not talking about the one play he got torched. Sam, both plays, 2 big impactful plays.
Bro.
End of story.
Bro, when you talk about impactful plays in the game against the Los Angeles Rams, no, it's not the fucking end of story because Aiden Hutchinson, you can point to about 7 to 10 super impactful plays.
I'm not comparing.
When it's CJ Gardner-Johnson, we talk about 1.
I'm not comparing.
You are comparing it.
I'm saying
everyone's looking for an excuse to discredit Aiden and to prop up CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Now you're obsessed with the Aiden defending. I'm talking about CJ. I'm trying to make you realize that the plays that CJ's made the last 2 games have been impactful, yes or no?
Yes.
There you go. That's all I'm saying. Now you're bringing up Aiden. I'm not arguing Aiden versus CJ, but I'm saying you want to pick out the one time CJ, I don't know, a missed assignment here. Stop doing that. But because you could do that for a bunch of players.
Okay, but can we agree on this? Ever since he's been back, Aiden is a star, CJ GJ's a role player. He's been a role player since he's been back.
No, he's playing better than a role player.
Okay,
yeah, I'm
he's
not
a
willing to say
superstar.
that. If Aiden was
now
chirping,
you're going to the extreme.
If Aiden was chirping at Baker and did the exact same thing, would you be okay with it?
Because he's great. That's the thing. I mean, you said he had a C season at some point, KG, so, like, that's fine. He's great. He's a great player. Yes, I would be okay with it.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I'd be more okay if I mean, well, Brian Branch is a rookie. I don't know about that. I don't know.
I'm just saying the Rams game, he prevented a TD and they won by 1. It was a big play.
All right.
Can we agree there?
Because
if that was a TD, now we don't know how the game turns out.
Fine.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the Michael Badgley field goal, these plays were all integral in winning that football game.
Yes.
And CJ had one of them, a huge
play. About
play.
15 to 20 plays were super integral in winning that football game, and CJ had one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. He played a part in winning the football game. So I think that's better than a role player.
Role player. He's a role player right now.
Okay, so
he's part of
my
the safety
takeaway
rotation,
from Sam
and
is
that's okay, by the way. That's okay as long as he accepts that role and maybe does some less talking to give Baker some motivation.
They got a deep safety room, so he's in a rotation.
Yeah.
But so he's basically Kindle Vildor, is what you're saying?
No,
that's a role player.
No,
so
he's basically,
that's my takeaway from what you said.
He's basically Kirby Joseph. That's what I'm saying. That him and Kirby are basically the same.
Kirby has 8 picks in 2 years. So
I'm not saying that Kirby's bad. I'm just saying that's kind of that he's not Kindle Vildor, but he's like Kirby Joseph. He's Kirby Joseph.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, all right.
See. Okay, when I heard role player, I'm like, hold on,
That's a stretch.
But they are sharing. Yes, they're all on a snap count because again they have too many safety. They have a lot of safeties.